Next on News Channel 13, a local coach admits molesting students. You won't believe what he told one of them.
High winds and rain blow through the capital region, leaving one school without part of a roof. The full report next. News Channel 13 live at 11. ER fans, stay tuned to see how a little medical knowledge turns an area bus driver into a hero. Also, our special report on road rage. A local doctor has some tips to help keep you cool behind the wheel. News Channel 13 live at 11, just seconds away.
This is the Capital Region's #1 late news. News Channel 13, live at 11.
Tonight's top story, a frightening breach of trust. A local coach admits he molested 2 students and threatened to kill one of them if he told. Good evening, I'm Chris Kapostasy.
I'm at Dague. Christopher Wainwright's crimes were against children, boys age 11 and 13, but you may not want your children to watch this story. Bill Lambdin has it for us from our newsroom. Bill.
Ed and Chris, in open court this afternoon, relatives of the victims and the defendant appeared on the edge emotionally as they listened to details of Christopher Wainwright's sordid crimes. Information in this report may be offensive to some viewers. For 11 years, Christopher Wainwright coached sports and taught as a substitute in the Schoharie schools. During some of that time, he admits he also took part in deviant sexual activity with young boys.
Case of people of the state of New York against Christopher Wainwright.
Wainwright listened for more than 20 minutes as his rights were explained. He agreed to waive indictment and trial and pleaded guilty to 3 crimes in exchange for a sentence of 2 to 6 years in prison. His relatives and those of his 13-year-old victim gasped as Judge Bartlett read the circumstances of Wainwright's sodomy.
The defendant told the victim, A, being a person less than 14, to take his pants down and then place his mouth on the victim A's penis and then place his penis in the victim A's mouth.
Wainwright admitted that crime and 2 others involving a second victim, an 11-year-old boy. He had sex with that boy and took him to the Central Bridge baseball field, threatening to bury the boy near these sheds if he told anyone, and vowing to become the boy's father if his parents would disappear. In court, Wainwright's attorney read a brief apology from his client, promising more at a later date.
And I'm ready to vote for closure in this so that people may be able to move forward in their lives.
The DA says the plea bargain spares the victims further trauma.
These crimes are horrendous, and they certainly have an impact on the children.
Wainwright is scheduled to be sentenced formally to his 2 to 6 year term in June, although with today's guilty pleas, he has begun serving his time. Ed and Chris?
Bill, curious about this, more of an apology later. Is it possible there are more victims that will be identified later?
Well, that was one of the fear of authorities. That was all that Stephen Coffey would say for his client. I tried to interview Coffey after the court appearance, and he had nothing further to say, so that apology remains very cryptic at this point.
Thank you. Bill Lambdin, live in the newsroom. Chris.
Downtown Schenectady is losing another longtime resident. Time Center Jewelers is leaving. But the owner is sharing some ideas that he thinks can help revitalize cities everywhere. Kumi Tucker joins us live from State Street now with more. Kumi?
Chris, it's a very common sign here in downtown Schenectady, closed. And yet another establishment is closing its doors, Time Center Jewelers, just next door. And its owner sees this progression as a call for action. Downtown Schenectady then and now. The Electric City has seen some longtime bright spots fade, like Wallace Armor and now Time Center Jewelers. Its doors opened in 1948 and will close for good in 2 months. But its owner isn't giving up on the city. Melvin Mintz has spent 2 years putting together a proposal to revitalize this area.
As the downtown goes, and I've stated this for 20 years because I saw things happening 20 years ago. As the downtown goes, I have said, so will go the city. And as the city prospers, this county prospers.
His proposal is now in Mayor Al Jarzynski's hands. The mayor says the city is in the process of redefining itself and looks at these dark storefronts in an optimistic light.
Any business investors, you know, if they're watching the market, you always buy low and sell high. And right now, it's a time to buy in Schenectady.
Now, Mayor Drzezinski also cited Omni Corporation's $14 million investment in downtown Schenectady, certainly inviting other companies to do the same. As for Mr. Mintz, he's on to other projects, including a new jewelry store, presumably not here in this area. Chris?
Saying it's the time to buy and finding a buyer are two different things. Did the mayor give you any indications that there's anybody else in the wings waiting to make a major investment?
He didn't go into specifics about anybody else coming in, but he did say that he's doing a lot to try to attract people, including his homesteading projects, as well as his cleanup projects that his administration has taken on.
Thanks, Kumi. News Channel 13 learned today that Governor Pataki is hoping to privatize 3 state-owned ski areas. The governor says that Whiteface, Gore, and Bel Air Mountains are in need of new equipment, and he thinks those repairs would be too expensive for the state's taxpayers.
I love skiing at Gore and Whiteface. Those are the only places really I go. But if you look at the tens of millions of dollars that have been poured into ski areas in the Northeast, not in New York, we'd like to encourage more private investment.
The state constitution says none of the state-owned ski areas can be sold, leased, or transferred. It doesn't say, however, that someone else couldn't be brought in to run those areas.
Police say the owner of a Cohoes pizza shop tried to burn down his rival's business. 38-year-old Paul Peterson accused of paying his handyman to torch a sub shop owned by a former business partner. Peterson reportedly had money troubles, and state investigators say he also paid the handyman to burn a rental property on Lancaster Street. Both Peterson and the handyman facing charges tonight. A Columbia County landmark was destroyed by fire this morning. The Lakeshore House on Kinderhook Lake had been closed for several years. Sheriff's Department tells us the fire is considered suspicious. If you have any information, please give the Sheriff's Department a call. For the latest now on what local police and sheriffs and fire departments are working on right now, Kristen Bentsley in the News Channel 13 Operations Center. Kristen.
Thanks, Ed. Tonight's thunderstorm literally blew the roof off of a school gymnasium. Police in Menands say that high winds and rain destroyed parts of the roof at the Menands School on Ward's Lane. Pieces of the roof were sitting in the soccer field, along with several tree limbs. As far as we know, school has not been canceled for tomorrow. And that's the latest from the Operations Center. Chris.
Thanks, Kristen. Just a few hours before the wind hit Menands, lightning forced a commuter plane to make an emergency landing at the Albany County Airport. The plane was at about 10,000 feet when the left wing was struck by lightning. The bolt blew off a 12-inch piece of fiberglass. Rescue crews were called, but the plane was able to land without any trouble. There were 10 people on board that flight from Long Island.
Kind of reassuring to know you can lose a 12-inch piece of fiberglass
And still going smoothly, right?
Still fly. Our weather's getting better, Ed and Chris, tonight, although still a few showers around, but the scattered big storms of earlier are now gone. Let's take a look at the short-term forecast. It shapes up like this. Sunrise tomorrow morning at 5:48 a.m. Some sunshine, breezy, cool. Temperatures will be in the low 40s. As we move on through the day, it'll become increasingly sunny, but windy and a little bit cooler, but not bad. Temperatures in the 50s. Back with the forecast in a few minutes, guys.
Thanks, Bob. A local school bus driver got quite a surprise when he pulled into School 18 in Troy today. Steve Chikala got a round of applause and a plaque. Last month, Chikala knew just what to do when one of his young riders was choking. He got Daniel Ames breathing again and probably saved his life.
I'm very honored. Sort of a surprise.
How did they get you out here?
They said it was going to be a bus drill, but I'm really proud, and I'm glad that I could help Danny out.
There was also an honorable mention today for the 2 students who alerted their driver that Danny was in trouble.
The parents of John Benet Ramsey were answering questions today. We'll hear from them as soon as we come back.
We also have word of a major change coming to Britain, and later tonight we'll bring you an update on the Massachusetts moose we featured last night. Also, Julie Wilcox takes a look at what really makes you mad on the road.
And you without putting your signal on all the time. Button in front of you.
Cut you off, though.
Live, local, late breaking with Ed Dague and Chris Kapostasy. This is News Channel 13. Live at 11.
News Channel 13 is sponsored in part by the Sage Colleges and by Huck Finn's Warehouse and More.
The parents of John Benet Ramsey have finally broken their silence. One day after an interview with police, John and Patsy Ramsey met with reporters to address some of the many unanswered questions about their daughter's death 4 months ago.
To those of you who may want to ask, let me address it very directly. I did not kill my daughter, John Benet. There have also been innuendos that she has been or was sexually molested. I can tell you those were the most hurtful innuendos to us as a family. They are totally false. John Benet and I had a very close relationship. I will miss her dearly for the rest of my life.
The Ramseys say they were insulted to learn that they were considered suspects in John Benet's death, but they've come to understand that it's standard procedure when so many child murders are family-related.
The Conservative Party is now conceding defeat. There is a major change coming to Great Britain.
British election returns top tonight's World Check. The Labour Party appears to be winning big. That will make Labour Party leader Tony Blair the new Prime Minister. John Major will have to move out of number 10 Downing Street by the end of the day tomorrow. The Conservatives have held power since Margaret Thatcher won in 1979. We haven't heard from the candidates yet. British election laws prohibit them from talking about the election on voting day.
The Red River is still threatening homes in southern Canada, but the people of Winnipeg got some good news today. The river's peak is not quite as high as was feared.
The river has done its damage to people who live in North Dakota. Now, people who live here in the capital region are doing what they can do to help. Our Helping Hands for the Heartland campaign collected flood relief supplies at Colony Center today. We're working together on this campaign with Sears, Price Chopper, the Salvation Army, Conway Central Express Company, and radio station WFLY. The Red Cross is also collecting donations for flood victims. If you'd like to contribute, you can call them at 1-800-HELP-NOW.
If you drive, you have probably experienced the symptoms: anger, impatience, maybe even outrage. It's called road rage. It's a phenomenon that is getting attention now from doctors. Julie Wilcox has the story.
Ask most drivers and they'll tell you stories of irritating close encounters.
Going 787 rush hour every morning or evening, and you will see people jumping over to get into the lanes to the exits.
Lane changing without putting your signal on all the time. Button in front of you,
Cut you off, though.
Well, it's a really false sense of power, protection, and anonymity.
Dr. Ronald Nathan is a psychologist at Albany Med. He's written 3 books on stress management.
I think our expectations frustrate us. If we expect everything to go smoothly, that's not reasonable.
You can't control how others drive, but you can control your reaction. Dr. Nathan has some suggestions. A few deep breaths can help. Also, try to make your most out of the time in the car. Listen to music or books on tape. And remember that your behavior can rub off on others.
And what he was telling me was that he was explaining to his children the lights. And he said, well, what is a green light? And he said, go. What is a red light? Stop. What is a yellow light? Go faster. You know, and he all of a sudden woke up at that moment and said, that's not what I want my children to know.
Keeping control is a learned process, and if anger persists, consultation with your family doctor may be helpful.
I mean, enjoy life. Life is not a destiny, getting from point A to point B. There's more to life than increasing its speed.
Julie Wilcox, News Channel 13.
I think we had a little weather rage late this afternoon.
Bob's up next to tell us what we might expect tomorrow.
Coming up, News Channel 13 First Warning Weather with meteorologist Bob Kovachick.
Weather on News Channel 13 is brought to you by Saturn of Albany.
Little weather in the area today, did a little damage, but basically they were kind of garden variety thunderstorms.
Garden variety, little pea-sized hail in some spots, little strong winds in some places, such as Bonanza, but not at the airport. In any event, hey, it's May, and it's mid-spring, and I guess we're getting into some typical spring and early summer weather with warmth the last couple of days and some thunder showers today. Only 1/10 of an inch of rain measured at the Albany County Airport, but again, as typical with thunder showers, Some places get whomped and some places didn't. Cooling off now, 49 after the day's high of 68, normal high 64, record high of 85, record low 28. Winds out of the west at 6, humidity at 77, and the barometer's falling a bit at 29.56 inches. The warm day of today, but the cool air kind of mushing in from the west now. Pretty quickly, the warm air being pushed away, the cold front from the Connecticut River Valley across about Worcester, down into New York City area and on into Pennsylvania. We had a few showers early today. This was the radar from about 11 o'clock this morning. A few light rain showers. Then the squall line developed during the afternoon. You can see those kind of orange or red blobs move through. Those are the scattered, fairly large thunderstorms that range from the Champlain Valley all the way down into the Poconos, and scattered areas of heavy rain, especially parts of Pennsylvania down into toward the nation's capital and into Virginia. They had quite a lot of wind damage and some fairly large hail in that part of the country. In any event, a few leftover showers around now. In fact, Doppler radar indicating some rain showers westbound in the Catskills on up through Otsego County into portions of the Mohawk Valley. These showers are light and spotty and moving toward the southeast, so don't give up the chance of still another shower or two over the course of the next couple of hours. That storm whipping on by, but guess what? Things are moving along very quickly, as you see on the satellite view. And although one storm is departing, we'll have a dry day tomorrow. But look at this, clouds, showers, and storms jumping out of the Rockies into the plains, approaching Chicago. The speed of that next system already, I looked at new computer guidance tonight, brings measurable rain here by 8 or 9 o'clock Saturday morning. So right now, Saturday appears to be, it'll be a wet day. Certainly mostly cloudy, little or no sun, and we'll get some rain coming in. So tomorrow will be a pretty good day, cooler northwest breeze, but at least the sun comes back. Then the storm that's dropped some snow, 3 to 6 inches of snow in Wyoming and portions of Colorado. Will head out into the plains later on tonight. Thunderstorms there now, and then head to the Ohio Valley and then into the St. Lawrence Valley early in the weekend. So I think Saturday is definitely the down day of the weekend. The flip side of this is that the speed is the name of the game. So this system will whip on by. Sunday will improve. We'll see some sunshine, but a cool breeze. So Sunday going to be the better of the 2 days for outdoor plans this weekend. Here's your national radar. Time lapsing over the past 12 hours with the severe weather in the east, and look at this big blob of bad weather heading across mid-country. It'll be here Saturday. Back in a moment.
Good evening, I'm Judith Ortiz. Welcome to Thursday, May 1st, Take 5 drawing being observed by Nodder for KPMG Pete Tomorrowick. At a press conference yesterday, Timothy and Julie Taylor of Syracuse were introduced as the winners of the $4 million jackpot drawn on April 26. There were no winners in last night's lotto drawing, making Saturday's lotto jackpot $10 million. Tonight's winning Take 5 numbers are 16, 15, 20, 25, and 27. Making Thursday, May 1st, winning Take 5 results 16, 15, 20, 25, and 27. Thank you for joining us and have a good night.
Still perhaps a shower in a few spots over the next few hours. Breezy, cooler. Temperatures already down to the 40s. We'll be in the low 40s by morning. For tomorrow, not a bad day, but again, the key word here I think is windy, cooler. Some sun, some clouds, upper 50s, but the wind may make it seem cooler than that. Then for tomorrow night, clear. Then some clouds come in again late tomorrow night. Temperatures between 38 and 43. And Saturdays, we just mentioned, now looks like rain will be here early in the day, Raj. I know I told you earlier you could play golf. Yeah. I don't think that's going to happen, pal. You're going to get wet on Saturday. Showers returning, but play on Sunday because after some early rain, it'll clear up and okay. Monday looks okay, and Tuesday we'll get a little more rain. A little cooler, but okay.
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 Thanks, Bob. And Roger has quite the animal menagerie on Big Board Sports.
Oh, it's all the local stuff, gang. And coming up, the dogs, the birds, and the rats. Plus, good news on Mets pitcher Jason Isringhausen and the Miami Heat trying to close out the Magic. All coming up next on Big Board Sports.
Coming up, News Channel 13 Sports with Roger Wyland.
Can you say Game 5? And while the Knicks patiently wait in the wings, the Heat and the Magic will get it on in the 5th and deciding game. Pat Riley could not close them out tonight. And this Orlando team, Penny Hardaway, 42 the other night. He hit for 41 tonight. They're up by 14 at the half. There will be Game 5 Sunday back in Miami, 99-91 Orlando. Meanwhile, NBA Rookie of the Year award goes to this guy. No surprise, Allen Iverson of the 76ers. He broke a record by scoring 40 or more points in 5 consecutive games last month. For a change, the news tonight on Mets pitcher Jason Isringhausen is very good. Izzy has a growth on his lung the size of a golf ball, but doctors say it's not believed to be cancerous. They think it's either TB or a fungal infection. Tests show his problems are not consistent with anything life-threatening. News not as good on the field today. San Diego's John Flaherty absolutely destroyed the Mets. Couple of home runs, one of them here in a 7-3 win, both coming off Dave Malicki. This breaks a 4-game Met win streak, but again, the Izzy news made it a good day in Metland. Some more scores. Montreal shut out Houston. Atlanta over Cincinnati. The Dodgers rung up a win 5-0 on the Phils. The Bucks beat the Giants. St. Louis over Florida 3-2. And Bichette and McCracken both homered. Colorado over Chicago. Anaheim, Boston was postponed due to rain. Cleveland beat Oakland. Jack McDowell back in the rotation gets the win. Kansas City shut out Toronto 8-0. And Scott Erickson, the winner in Baltimore, keeps on a rolling. Here at home, the Albany Colony Diamond Dogs open their season at the end of the month. Today, the team conducted another in a series of open tryouts looking for players. But this year's team is not short on talent, especially with the signing of Stillwater product John Mueller, who led the league in home runs a year ago.
So far this year, it looks like we have a pretty strong nucleus coming back. A lot of veterans. We might have a few guys from these tryout camps, and you know, hopefully we'll defend the title from last year.
Hey, the home opener is May 30th. Tickets for games at Heritage Park are next to nothing. $4 for general admission, $3 for the kids, and $10 for a family of 4. Firebirds open their season Saturday in Florida with the home opener May 10th at the Pepsi Arena against Milwaukee. General Manager Joe Hennessy, who begins his 8th season, would not predict how many wins his team would get, but he did say,
we don't necessarily have to win against the weak teams 80-30 and break Arena Football League records every time we play. Win games 40-30 and then win the big games. Because in the previous 3 years, we've been winning against teams that we should be beating and beating the heck out of them, and then win the big games, we'd lose.
All right, that makes some sense to me, and I'll have more with Joe coming up Sunday night on Birds Blitz during our 30-minute edition of Big Board Sports. And we go from the Dogs to the Birds to the Rats. The River Rats back in action in Rochester tomorrow night for Game 2 against the Americans. The Rats took the opener here last night, 3-2, and then for you area fans, Games 3 and 4 are at the Pepsi Arena on Sunday and Wednesday. And the NHL, the league suspended goaltender Dominic Hasek for 3 games and fined him $10,000 for grabbing Buffalo News reporter Jim Kelly, who had written a negative column on him, and that is a no-no, and I'm glad to see him get that fine. And Big Board Radio Sports tomorrow, Nick Zito, who's got a couple of horses running in the Kentucky Derby on Saturday, will be with us, and we'll talk some Derby and make some predictions.
All right.
You don't think athletes should be able to assault sports writers at least?
No, absolutely not.
All right.
He didn't have a stick in his hand, so that's the good news.
We'll have an update on the moose that was loose in Lee, Massachusetts this week.
He's been seen again. The story coming up after the break.
It's 11:32. Time to check up on tonight's top stories.
An area teacher and coach now admits he sodomized 2 students, even threatened to kill one of them. For 11 years, Christopher Wainwright coached and taught at the Schoharie schools. Tonight, he agreed to waive indictment and trial and plead guilty to 3 crimes in exchange for a sentence of 2 to 6 years in prison.
News Channel 13 learned today that Governor Pataki is hoping to privatize 3 state-owned ski areas. The state constitution says none of the ski areas can be sold, leased, or transferred, but it doesn't say that someone else couldn't be brought in to run the areas.
A commuter plane was hit by lightning on the way into the Albany County Airport this afternoon. The plane did make a safe emergency landing, even though the lightning took a 12-inch piece of fiberglass off the wing. Check in again now with Kristen Bentsley in the News Channel 13 Operations Center. Kristen.
Thanks, Ed. Firefighters in Albany are on their way to a fire at 526 Central Avenue. The call just came in, so no other information is available. And school is closed tomorrow at the Manan School, not because of the wind damage. It was a previously scheduled day off. And that's the latest from the Operations Center. Ed.
Thank you, Kristen. Finally tonight, news is good about the moose we told you about yesterday. The female moose was running around Main Street in Lee, Massachusetts. Environmental police shot it with a tranquilizer gun and carted it off to a nearby wooded area. They were concerned because the animal appeared lethargic after it was released. Well, today they tell us the moose is eating and showing signs that she is ready to return to the wild.
And a wet wild it is.
Imagine looking out your front window and seeing that on your front lawn. You're like,
down Main Street.
Strong coffee. Let's talk about weather. Travel weather for tomorrow morning. Breezy, cool, dry, upper 30s and low 40s. Not a bad travel day, travel start, but a little bit cool in the morning. Turning out to be a decent afternoon, 55 to 60. But enjoy tomorrow. We'll go downhill as we head toward the weekend. I expect some rain to come in Saturday. That rain probably beginning in the early part of the day and ending early in the day on Sunday. That's it.
That's the best you can do for the weekend.
That's the best I can do. Might change tomorrow, though.
Okay.
Hopefully for the better.
We'll check in, Bob. Thank you.
See you then tomorrow, we hope.
Have a good night.
Good night.